Our first music guest this morning is 32-year-old Eastern Cape singer who goes by the name Seer. Now, describing her musical objective as to inspire her audience through compelling lyricism coupled with captivating music and the magic of the audiovisual medium, Seer has recently dropped her follow-up single, Frozen, which is an ode to letting go and moving on. She joins us now in studio to take us through this track and other music projects that she's currently working on. Seer, very good morning to you. Thank you so much for joining us. Welcome.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
It's such a cool name, Seer. Where's that coming from?
Well, my full name is Seer Sanga, so I've always been called Seer. And so I decided to just switch it up a little bit because it kind of describes my personality, also my brand, which is about connecting with people for who they are.
Yeah.
So I see you. That's basically what it means.
That is so cool, though.
Thank you.
Now, before we get into the music, let's talk about your background, where you come from, and how you got into the music industry, and how that journey has been like for you.
Wow, I started singing from a very young age, at around 9 years old.
Okay.
I only really pursued music.
You started singing in church, right?
Yes, of course.
I knew it.
Like all the
Most of the musical artists start singing in church.
Yes.
Okay.
So I was in the praise and worship. I'm still actually in the same praise and worship team back home. But I decided to pursue my music career on a professional level in 2020 during lockdown. Prior to that, I was in film, television, animation. So yeah.
Okay. Did you know at that particular point that you wanted to be a professional singer, or were you just doing it because you were in church?
Well, I wanted to be a professional singer from a young age. I just, through life and experiences, I went through a little bit of self-doubt and confidence issues. And so I decided to pursue my career in media rather than music. But, a calling is a calling.
A calling is a calling,
to go.
yeah.
So
once that bug bites you, never looking back. Yeah. So how would you describe or define your genre?
I like to dabble in a few different things.
Okay.
So I like pop a lot, which for some people it doesn't really suit me. But I like pop, but I also dabble in a bit of soul. I love gospel a lot as well. So I like to experiment.
Yeah, and I know that some people probably in church, and you still sing in church, no?
Yes.
Right? Yeah, they'll probably be wondering why you chose pop or any other non-Christian genre.
Absolutely.
And how do you deal with such questions?
I've got to be true to myself and the message that I want to bring to the world.
Okay.
And for me, I believe I want to impact pop culture.
Yes.
So the best way for me to do that is to be a part of pop culture,
be a part of it,
but bring a different message that isn't destructive, that isn't, that is more motivational and seeks to inspire people to introspect and live their best truth.
What is that message? What is it that you sing about?
I sing about introspection, like I mentioned, different situations that we face. A lot of the times we like to point blame. We like to escape the part that looks at our own role in situations. So I in my life, I like to look at where I am and how I fit into the situation. Now I can navigate the situation. So that's really the message that I want to put out there, is that it starts with you.
Okay. Let's talk about your single Frozen and what really inspired it.
It was actually a co-writing experience, very first co-writing experience. So I went in with no preconceived notions, but it led, it took the direction of a toxic relationship and really looking at your personal role in that toxic relationship and how you can take responsibility and move on. Yeah.
Wow, and the title Frozen, I'm quite intrigued.
Well, frozen is really being in a state of stagnation, because when you're in a toxic relationship, it almost feels like you're not moving forward. You're not moving.
There's no progress. There's no growth.
Yeah. So you kind of just in a frozen state.
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay, so how do you describe the sound on this particular track?
This particular track is very much American style pop, influenced by the R&B divas like your Mariah Carey's, your Whitney Houston. So it's a little bit of a fusion of that, but focusing on modern pop.
Yeah, as you say, it talks about, you know, those who are in a toxic relationship. It talks about stagnation. So how are you hoping that this particular track will help those who are finding it difficult to let go?
Well, for me, I believe that the first step is always to face the truth. So don't cover it up, don't make excuses, face the truth for what it actually is. And have the courage to actually just look at the situation and not try and fix it, but try and understand how you got into it so that you can find a way to get out of the situation.
Okay.
So that for me is always the first step. Look at the truth.
Wow, that's actually so interesting because, you know, so many people would be like, you know, man, you need to fight for this relationship. For this relationship.
There are things you fight for, and then there are things that you just
that you shouldn't fight for. Yeah, I got you. Yeah. And do share with us some of the principles that you've learned in your journey and as you've come up with this album and this single.
Okay, I'm always gonna go back to truth telling. There's this thing that I read in Conversations with God, and it says there's 5 different levels of truth telling. So you tell the truth to yourself about yourself, you tell the truth to yourself about the other person, and so on, until you're in a space where you are just constantly allowing yourself to accept what is, and you're allowing yourself to tell the truth about everything.
Yeah. And I quite like the point you made about telling the truth to your own self, because that's the only time and that's the only person that you can be, you can be loyal to, and the person that you can be very honest to.
Exactly.
Without expecting any judgments, people judging you. Because if you tell the truth to your own self, nobody's going to judge you.
And even if people judge you, you'll be able to decipher whether this is truth or it's not. And if it's truth, then you deal with it. If it's not, you move on.
Indeed. So what are you currently working on?
Oh, I'm working on a lot. So my main focus right now is developing the industry in the Eastern Cape, especially where I'm from, Komani. Yes. So I'm working with local businesses, and on the 17th of July, we actually have a talent show coming up, which is going to be in Queenstown. We're bringing professionals in the industry to help young people that are that side move to the next level. On Friday, I'm also going to be in Cape Town with another musician friend of mine, and we're just doing an impromptu performance. So be on the lookout for the details.
Most definitely. I quite like the fact that you're trying to develop the music industry in the Eastern Cape, because you know how it is here in South Africa. People come to Joburg or come to Gauteng to seek a better life and to develop their musical ambitions. So it's quite a great thing that you're developing the industry there in the Eastern Cape.
Yeah, and it's not always
How's that coming along though?
It's been a very hectic 4 years of
can imagine.
Of sacrifice and just knocking on doors, and I've been fortunate to have local businesses that share the same sentiments of developing our town. Our local businesses have really been instrumental in my personal journey as well.
So how do your fans connect with you?
So I'm available on Instagram at Official Seer Music. That's SEER, at Official Seer Music. I'm also on YouTube if you want to check out some other music that I've been doing. It's Official Seer Music, and I'm on Facebook as well.
Great stuff. All the best, Seer.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Good stuff. That's our first music guest for this Sunday morning. Her name is Seer, and she's been speaking to us about her latest single titled Frozen.